We have just finished discussing about the traits of a prince. Similarly, our leaders can be like the prince in this election. They can understand the people's situations, but they may be in a vulnerable position. What characteristics of a prince do you admire the most? What makes him an effective leader? These questions can be helpful when making a character sketch. This is the last part of our video lesson, and hopefully, you have almost done your formative assessments. In composition, a character sketch is brief description in prose of a particular person or type of person. In writing one, you go into the character's manner, distinct characteristics, nature, and the way that person behaves him or herself. It's also called a profile or character analysis and doesn't necessarily have to be about a fictional character. Let's look at the example. Based on the series, Harry Potter is described as having his father's untidy black hair, his mother's bright green eyes, and a lightning bolt shaped scar on his forehead. He is also described as small and skinny for his age, with a thin face and knobbly knees, and he wears brown eyeglasses. Here is an example of a character sketch essay. Let's get started. A trial by files, an analysis of Irwin Martin in James Turber's The Catbird Seat. Mr. Irwin Martin, James Turber's file clerk protagonist in The Catbird Seat, fits the stereotype of his occupation well. As head of the filing department at FNS, he is a well respected and efficient employee. He is meek, introverted, socially isolated, and a teetotaler. No one at FNS would ever guess that Mr. Martin has murder in his soul. Shortly after Mrs. Eugene Barrows comes on board FNS as a special advisor to the president, Mr. Martin realizes that the efficiency of his beloved company and his very job are threatened. Mr. Martin plans to save what is most dear to him by carrying out what he feels is a justified execution of Mrs. Barrows. What words are new to you? I give you 5 seconds to look at those words. The idiomatic phrase, the catbird seat, refers to the much coveted position in a company or organization. It refers to having a power because of one's position. How about teetotaler, which refers to a person who never drinks alcohol? Most often, writers find it difficult to compose an introduction of a paragraph. Your introduction should have a thesis statement, which is the main point of the story. The flow of thoughts is fluid as if you're talking to a person. Give your story a catchy but meaningful title. You don't need to have a long title. The more enticing the title is, the more your story captures a variety of readers. Here's the body of the paragraph. The trial that he conducts in his mind is also bizarre and of questionable sanity. Mrs. Barrow's abrasive manner and erratic behavior to business make her a foil to his quiet, no-nonsense professionalism. He takes an instant dislike to her, but not enough to kill her. Mr. Martin's self-esteem is built around this reputation. Mrs. Barrows causes havoc with many of the departments at FNS, firing some employees and causing others to quit. Mr. Martin finally decides she must be killed when she targets the filing department for change. The meek little Mr. Martin shows an extreme though understandable response to a perceived threat on his way of life. His desire to kill Mrs. Barrows comes down to a survival instinct. During the trial in his mind, he is able to rationalize her death as justifiable homicide, an execution of a criminal. Making an outline is essential when composing an essay. It helps the writer organize his or her ideas to support the main thesis. Again, a thesis statement is the main point or claim of an essay. In writing the body of an essay, you may subdivide the paragraphs based on the character's appearance, experiences, behavior. Guide questions such as what are the conflicts the character experiences and how did he or she overcome them? And what words do you associate with the character? Going back to the story, did you see the conflict between the two characters? The type of conflict that this story has is man versus man. Mrs. Barrows fires some employees at FNS and plans to implement a radical change in the department where Mr. Martin has been serving for several years. At this juncture, who do you think is the protagonist? Who is the antagonist? Is it Mrs. Barrows, whose abrasive manner and erratic behavior to business creates havoc in the department? Or is it Mr. Martin's quiet, no nonsense professionalism that makes him feel insecure because a woman can overcome him? In writing the body of the essay, you can also add quotes or a line or two from the text to support your thesis, but make sure to cite the sources using the APA style. Here's the last paragraph of the story. Mr. Martin shows just how far even some of the meekest of people can go when they are threatened. Mr. Martin appears to be a very static character who finds he has the capacity for dynamic action. While the precision and planning that went into the plot are in his character, his ability to improvise a way to destroy Mrs. Barrow's reputation with company president Mr. Fitzweiler when he cannot find a suitable murder weapon at her apartment is surprising. He, however, immediately reverts to his old static self when Mrs. Barrows is escorted from Mr. Fitzweiler's office, kicking and screaming the next day. Mr. Martin's newfound dynamic abilities, it seems, appear only to surface in extreme need. Your conclusion should hold your ideas together and shape a final analysis statement. You can make your own synthesis by relating your personal experiences to some situations in the story. The conclusion also leaves the reader something they can ponder on after reading the character sketch essay. Do you think the title, The Catbird Seat, being analyzed, defines the plot of the story? For week 1 lesson, we have accomplished the following: 1. Understanding literature. 2. Watching a video clip. 3. Responding to literature. 4. Character sketch. And 5. Character sketch essay. This time, you are tasked to develop your writing skills. Please go back to Genio courseware and take the quiz essay. Have fun and engaging learning.